Buying a tripod seems very simple until you realize there are literally hundreds to choose from. Today, I'm going to compare two very different tripods that I personally own. I'm going to explain what actually matters when you're choosing one to buy. And I'll also show you a gimbal head that can change your photography drastically. So hello and welcome to or welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. Let's dig in. So why every photographer needs a tripod? I will interject and say that not every photographer absolutely needs a tripod, but they are extremely useful and most photographers do need one. It's great for landscape photography, wildlife photography, low light settings, sunrises and sunsets, night photography, and even macro photography, self-portraits, YouTube filming. Yes, I am using a tripod right now, doing time-lapse videos or photography, and especially for doing long exposures. Like I said, not every photographer needs a tripod. Not everyone is doing those things. And some of those things can actually be done without a tripod. But if you feel you need one or want one, stick around. So what makes a good tripod? Stability. Stability is really important because you're putting your camera on the tripod. You do not want it falling over, the wind blowing it over. You don't want to bump it and knock it over easily. The biggest factors are wind and heavy lenses. Heavy lenses make you need more stability out of your tripod, and also wind. When you're looking at the weight of the tripod itself, it makes sense to get a heavier tripod so it's more sturdy and stable. But if you're carrying it around, then you want it lighter so it's easier to transport. So you have to think about your usage of it. They do sell little slings that you can hang on the bottom. Most tripods do have a place to hang something. Some people just hang their backpack there. Like they have a backpack full of their photography gear and they'll hang it on there and that will stabilize. But they do sell little slings and you can fill it with anything around you, dirt, sand, rocks, whatever you can find around you. That way, when you pack it up to take it back, you're not carrying actual weights around with you. You just have an empty little sling. So that's actually really creative. So you do want to think about how you plan to use your tripod most. If it's just, sitting around, you're not transporting it a lot, then a heavier tripod would make more sense. But if you are taking it on hikes and moving around a lot and that sort of thing, then a lighter one obviously would make more sense. Hi guys, I just want to interrupt your video for one quick moment and ask a favor. YouTube is telling me that the majority of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if that's you, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I would so appreciate if you would subscribe. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you hit that bell icon, it will notify you when I upload videos in the future. I really do appreciate your support and it helps me continue to make videos just like this. Thank you so much. Now back to your video. You also want to look at the height of the tripod. The first tripod I purchased was 60-inch tripod and I am 5'6". So that is 66 inches. So I thought, it's going to be 60 inches and then you have the camera on top. I figured that would be about eye height for me. And I thought that would really be fine. But I did find even at its absolute highest, there were times where I was always leaning forward to look in the viewfinder. And if I was there for quite a while doing something, I would feel it in my back. So yes, I'm older. I feel more aches and pains than the younger people do, but that is something to think about. The second tripod I bought is a 77-inch. It can go far taller than I would ever need. I guess unless maybe it was like down a step from where I am or something, then that might be great. But it is wonderful being able to put it right at my eye level. It is honestly fantastic. And I love that. So definitely consider what height you actually want and need. Another thing is just a basic knowing how to set it up. Obviously, you spread out your 3 legs and then you want to make the legs as tall as you need initially before you adjust your center column height. You don't want to just put your legs out and then raise that center column. That is not as sturdy as the longer the leg gives you much more stability and not teetering, tottering, getting tipped over. So always do your legs as high as you can first, and then adjust your center column if needed. Always be sure to lock the legs, the center column, all the adjustments for the head, whatever type of head you have on your tripod. Make sure they're all locked securely for best results, obviously. There are twist locks and flip locks. Most legs have flip locks. There might be some with twist. A lot of center columns have a twist lock, and there's a lot of different types of locks depending on the type of head you have. So I use both. I have flip locks on the legs. I think they're really nice and quick and easy to work with. And then I have twist locks on the center column. They're also great to work with. I don't have any issues. There are different types of feet on tripods. Some sort of move and adjust to help it be level and secure. Some have rubber feet. Some have spikes. So, obviously if you're on concrete, that wouldn't work. But if you're on, dirt or grass frequently, it would help hold it. They're usually made out of aluminum or carbon fiber. So carbon fiber is very lightweight. So if you are backpacking, hiking, taking it long distances, that's a really good choice. It also dampens vibration much better than aluminum. So that can help you get sharper images. It's very temperature neutral. So that may not be a concern depending where you're at. But if you are out in cold weather, definitely grabbing a freezing cold tripod is not nice. So your carbon fiber stays much more neutral temperature. And it resists corrosion. So again, depending on your climate, that might be very helpful for you. Carbon fiber is significantly more expensive than aluminum. And while it has a high strength to weight ratio, sudden sharp impacts could cause it to crack. Aluminum is very affordable. It is very impact resistant, and it's heavier in weight, so it's much more stable. That could be a con, though. If you are hiking and backpacking with it and it's heavier, it could be a problem. Although I have to say my aluminum tripod is relatively light in my opinion. It does not bother me. I have taken it on hikes. Not a big deal for me, but everyone is different and has different tolerances to those things. The temperature does definitely affect the aluminum tripod a lot more. So if you are in super hot or super cold temperature climates, it could be an issue. And it does transfer vibration a lot more than carbon fiber does. So both of the tripods I own are aluminum. I used to live in Southern California, very moderate climate, and now I'm in Northern Arizona. The climate overall is very close to what I was in Southern California, except that it will get a little bit colder in the wintertime. So I'll see how I do. I may end up needing to invest in carbon fiber, but I doubt it. It doesn't get super, super cold here. So I think I'll be fine. I'm in pretty moderate climates, both places that I have lived. So that you need to look at where you live and the climate you're in and make a decision accordingly based on that. Okay, so then we're going to talk about different heads for tripods. I actually have 3 different heads, and I will insert some roll footage during this to show them to you. So looking at the ball head, it can lock very well. It can do panning if you loosen it just a little bit. Most tripods do have a quick release plate, and my head-Neewer tripod that has the ball head on it is arca Swiss compatible. So let me interject quickly and say that I originally bought the Amazon tripod. I didn't know anything about tripods. It was very early on, years back, when I had my DSLR camera and I needed a tripod. And I looked at them and I was like, okay. And I bought this Amazon tripod, and it came with a quick release plate, and I bought a couple of extra quick release plates. So I had one on my DSLR camera. I just screwed it onto the bottom. I had one set up with a phone mount, and then later one with an iPad mount. And I had a manual super zoom lens that I've done a video on. I kept one on that lens as well. And so I could just slip them in and out on this tripod, and everything was great. Then I moved to my mirrorless camera with my 180-600 lens that you mount by the foot of the lens. That needed to go into a cotton carrier. And so the attachment then became arca Swiss attachment because of the cotton carrier. And I could not put it on the Amazon tripod. So I had to find an arca Swiss compatible tripod. And so that led me to the head-Neewer tripod, which I do like a lot better. But if you aren't needing arca Swiss, honestly, the Amazon tripod does a great job. So I also got the gimbal head for the Neewer tripod, and it is also arca Swiss compatible. It is made by Neewer. I will have links to all of this down below. I have to say, for wildlife photography, the gimbal head is just amazing. It would be good for like sports photography too. Anything where you need to pan and move and adjust and do it nice and smooth, whether it's photography or video, it is just fantastic. So most of the time when I used my tripod, it was when I went to the bald eagle nest and I would sit there. And if the eagles flew in or out, or sometimes there were hawks around that were flying. And initially I was there with just the ball head on the tripod. And to unlock that with such a heavy lens, you know, it's just all over the place. It can be challenging. With a much lighter lens, it's very nice and easy to use. But with a big heavy lens like that, it becomes challenging. So with the gimbal head, it's just amazing. You have to balance your lens for the gimbal head. But once you get that done, it's just fantastic to use. And that is also arca Swiss compatible. You will also have less arm fatigue with a gimbal head than trying to hold it with a ball head. But the gimbal head is definitely not necessary for everyone. I say try with whatever you have, the ball head or whatever your tripod has, and see if you feel limited by it. If you don't, then that's great. I definitely did. I saw that I was missing a lot of shots with the ball head. So I got the gimbal head and it's just amazing. And going back to the Amazon tripod, it's very affordable, very lightweight. It's a wonderful beginner tripod. Like I said, if you aren't needing the arca Swiss compatibility, it's a wonderful option. It is a little less stable. It's not really ideal for large telephoto lenses like my 180-600. There are pros and cons to the head on it. It does a nice job for panning sideways. The up and down's a little bit trickier. So again, you need to know your needs. If it's for, you know, a cell phone or an iPad, I think it does a really great job, especially for video. And if you're panning sideways with it or not needing to pan at all, it's a really nice option. I typically use it now with my phone or my iPad, and my Neewer tripod gets used with my actual camera. The pros of the Neewer tripod is that it's more stable. It has a stronger build. It is taller. And the ball head does have pros and cons. It's easy to put it into any position that I need and lock it there. I can do a lot more angles and things with it than I can with the Amazon tripod head, but it's also heavier and more expensive. So if I had to do it all over again, which one would I buy? Most likely the Neewer. I need it because of the arca Swiss compatibility, but I can also put my phone and iPad on that too. So I'm keeping the Amazon one for the phone and iPad just because I already have it and it's already set up with the quick release plates and all the mounts and everything that I have. So I will continue to use it for that. But if I had to do it over again, I would definitely just choose the Neewer and just have one tripod. So very common beginner mistakes is just buying the cheapest tripod, which I did, but it served me well for many years, I have to say. I have always talked about the fact that I made very careful and calculated choices when buying photography equipment and accessories. I did not want to end up with a whole bunch of stuff that didn't work or I didn't need or just sat there and ended up being clutter that never got used. I see so many people do that. I didn't want to be that person. And I have done very well. I really don't have things that I don't use. You don't want to just look at the height of the tripod the same way you don't want to just look at the price. Another thing is the weight capacity. Know the weight of the camera you're going to be putting on it and the lens, if that's also a factor, and make sure it can handle that. Make sure you know how to use the legs and then adjust your center column after. Know how to do all of the locks for everything. But also don't just buy a big, heavy tripod that you're not going to want to carry around if you need to be mobile with it. And be very careful that you check your quick release compatibility. Like I said, for many years, the Amazon tripod worked perfectly for me. But as soon as I moved into the big lens and the cotton carrier, I then needed the arca Swiss compatibility. So I definitely encourage you to consider your needs and think about your future needs if you can. I honestly didn't didn't think about that when I bought the Amazon, but I also didn't know about different types of heads and the arca. I didn't even know about Arca Swiss until I got my big lens and started realizing that there are different types of quick release heads and all of that. I was not even aware of that when I bought my first tripod. And like I said, it did work perfectly for me for many years, and I am still using it. So I don't see it as a total waste. But if you're able to, if you know you have goals for in the future, then consider those when you are deciding. Definitely try to spend money once that will last you a long time than to jump in and buy something that you end up regretting and having to buy something else. So this is the Amazon tripod. This is the first tripod I purchased. You adjust the legs by flipping the unlock and then locking it, flipping it again, and this one. I typically just use this now when I'm filming things with my phone or my iPad. So I do have a quick release mount with a phone holder on it. And you can see that. This is the quick release, the flat part down here, and then this is the phone mount up here. Some of the things I do love about this tripod is the handle. It has this handle, and anytime you need to pick it up, you can just grab this. Even more so because this is made out of aluminum, and as we discussed, aluminum conducts temperature, whether that's really hot temperatures or really cold temperatures. These aluminum legs are going to be conducting that temperature very well. This is a plastic handle, and it's a really nice, easy way to carry it around, but it also is plastic rather than aluminum, and so it doesn't conduct that temperature. And I really wish my other tripod did have that handle. I know that sounds silly, but it is something I really, really do like on this tripod. It does have this hook down here where you can hang something heavy, something weighted in windy conditions to stabilize it. I have also seen people hang their cameras like upside down here to get really cool shots low to the ground. So that's another option. I'm going to shorten this just to show you a little bit better. I do actually really like the head. I do and I don't. I have a love-hate relationship with the head on here, but this handle here, you can unlock it and it moves the up and down. So especially for video, if you're panning, it's a very nice fluid movement that you can do, but it's also, you unlock it, you put it where you need it for your shot, and then you lock it. The downside is with heavier lenses, with most lenses, to be completely honest, but especially with heavier lenses, once you lock it, it's going to move. It's not going to be exactly where you put it. You put it where you want it, you lock it, and then it moves again. And I'll get to it later, but the same thing happens with this tripod. So I'm assuming unless you have a really expensive, high quality tripod, that's going to be the case. And I will talk about what I did to deal with that. So then there's a knob right here, and you can unlock that to turn it. And then there's a little adjustment here that you unlock, and that adjusts this. If you want to go from landscape to portrait, you can leave your camera on here and change this. And you can even do it like part way and lock it for whatever reason. I mean, maybe your tripod isn't exactly level and you want to adjust that with the angle of your camera. You could totally do that. So that is really cool. And it does have a level here. I don't really look at it. I don't use it, but it is there in case you want that. So I'm going to show you how tall it gets. It does have the movable feet. So if it's on uneven ground, it will still adjust to that and be more secure. I'm going to go back here. I hope this is far enough back to get the whole height of it. So the legs have two segments that you can unlock, but then you still have this one. I'll put it as far back as I can and hope that it gets in the shot. Yes, it's there. So I will say that a lot of times if I extend both leg segments, it's too tall. So I'll do one leg segment and then crank that top part to exactly where I need it. But if you do both legs and it's still too short, then again, you can crank the top part again to wherever you need it. So let's move on to the Neewer tripod. So this one has the Arca Swiss compatible head. And that's the whole reason I bought this and needed this. And it's all because I got this 180-600 lens, and to put it on the cotton carrier, the tripod mount was an Arca Swiss, and that's where all of this began. And that tripod doesn't do arca Swiss. It does have quick release plates. It worked for everything else I owned. I'll actually show you in a minute the super zoom lens that I used to put on it, as well as just my camera. I had a quick release plate on the bottom of my camera and one on my super zoom lens. And I could put them on there and take them off in a snap. And it was all great until I found that I needed the arca Swiss type. But I will say I really like this tripod. In a lot of ways, it is better quality. It is heavier. So that's a pro or a con, depending on if you're traveling with it, backpacking with it, that sort of thing. It does have 3 leg segments. This is 77 inches tall, whereas that one is 60 inches tall. So this is a little bit taller. It has the hook on the bottom so that you can hang something weighted to hold it in windy conditions. This has the ball head, which is different from that head. And it has a quick release plate, but I really don't use it. I have the same mount on both my camera body and on my lens for arca Swiss, so that either one of those can go into my cotton carrier. And then it also has the tripod. So I just put that straight in here. I don't use this. The only time I will use this is if I do need to put my phone or my iPad on this. For some reason, I will hook those mounts on this and then put them on here. And I will say this has the same tendency with a big lens, a heavy lens, where you put it where you want it and you lock it and then it's going to move a little. I think that's normal, or at least normal with entry-level, more affordable tripods. If you have a much more expensive tripod, please let me know if that's still the case or if they are perfected where they don't do that. So it does have these numbers going all the way around, which is kind of nice because if you do move it, like say I'm at the eagle nest and I've got it on the eagle nest, but then I see something else and I want to move it to that. I can remember what number it was on and put it back exactly where I had it. That's the only use I could see for that. So there's this unlock. I think it's just, this one is just so you can take the head off. So we're going to leave it on and we're going to lock it. And then this one here is for your ball head. And it is pretty cool. You can get a lot of different angles. And then on this side, it's got the little notch, so you can drop it all the way down. So if you want to go from a landscape to a portrait, if you can see that, landscape to portrait, you would do it like that. And you can, of course, lock it at any in-between point as well. It's just challenging when you have something heavy on it. Trying to pan with it is a little challenging. And trying to get the exact thing, you have to really hold your camera and stabilize it while you have this unlocked and then get it in your position. And then this one up here is just for this. It opens and closes this to lock things on here. And it does also have a level. I honestly don't really look at that, but it is there. This one nice feature with this is you can take this leg off and put it on the center column and it becomes a monopod. So this is a tripod that also gives you the ability to use a monopod all in one purchase, which is pretty cool. Okay, I will have to adjust the angle of the camera to get the whole height of this one. So we're going to do the first segment of the leg, the second segment of the leg, the third segment of the leg, and then you can extend this one up. So that is the full maximum height. You can see this one over here. It's much taller. And I don't feel like I would ever need this much height, to be honest, but it's nice to have more than I need because this one sometimes is not enough. Okay, so I showed you the 2 tripods. There's a couple more things that I wanted to go over and show you. This is my manual super zoom lens. It is for a DSLR. It will work on my mirrorless camera with the F2Z2 adapter that I have. And I have done a review on this lens in the past. I can link that video in the description box below in case you're interested. If you don't mind manual lenses, this is a really good lens. So I have the quick release plate for this tripod on here. When I bought this tripod, I bought extra quick release plates. I had one on my camera, one on this lens, one on my phone mount, and then I had one extra one for any other thing that might come up. But there it is. I don't have my camera on here, but this is how you would mount the lens. Put it where you want it and lock it. And yeah, it worked really good. These days, this one mostly lives on here. This is for my phone And then for the Neewer tripod, the Arca Swiss, and this just lives on my camera. I put this on my camera and it just lives on there. This mounts onto the cotton carrier, and then this is the tripod mount from Cotton Carrier. Because if you just buy the round one, it goes in the middle, and then you cannot fit it onto a tripod at all. So I do love that it's just there all the time on the camera body as well as my big lens, and I can put it on a tripod at any moment or on a cotton carrier at any moment. And so there it is with just a regular lens. The only lens I own that goes on here with the foot from the collar is the 180-600. So any other lens I'm using, it's going to attach from the camera body like this, both for my tripod and my cotton carrier. This is how my camera lives most of the time. This is my most used lens, to be honest, and it will go on here. This is how I used to do it in the beginning. And I see some people who want to go from landscape to portrait. They will loosen their collar. And I do think if you have the ball head, it's a lot easier like this because you can still keep it here. It's not moving, but the collar is loose. And at any moment, I can turn it. So if you're on a ball head, I do think that's a great option. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is the gimbal head on the Neewer tripod. This was a game changer for me when I was using my 180-600 lens, because with the ball head, like I said, you would put the camera where you want it, you would lock the ball head, and it would still move. It was really frustrating and challenging to get the exact lock that you wanted. And then if I was locked, like I would take it to the eagle nest. I'd be locked on the eagle nest, and then like a hawk would come or the eagle would fly in and out. And it was really hard to move it and pan it and get something else and then go back and get it locked on the nest again. This solved all of that. So you do have to set these up and get them balanced for a specific lens. If it's a telescopic lens that zooms in and out, like my 18-300, it's really not going to work unless you just know you're going to have it at a fully extended all the time. Then you can balance it for that. This is not telescopic. The zooming is all internal. The lens stays the same size all the time. So it totally works here perfectly. So we're going to put it on here. I will warn you, with the gimbal head, your tripod is going to be very, very top heavy when you pick it up. So just be prepared for that. Be ready for that. Okay, so you can see if I tip it, it comes back or it stays, but it should be balanced right here. And it's a balance of where you line it up on the collar, where you're sitting it. If I put it all the way forward, you can see it's tipping forward. It's too heavy. If that happens, then you need to scoot it back. I already know. I actually need to put a mark on here so I know the exact spot, but I bring it back, and now it's a little too far back because it's leaning back. So we're going to go a little bit forward, and there we go. And then this one adjusts this part here. You can adjust it up and down. So this one's a front and back. This is an up and down. And you basically want this here, like halfway, at the halfway point, up and down wise. It's cutting like halfway through your lens. And so now you can point this up. You can point it down. You can go over here. You can go there. You can go anywhere, and you put it and it stays. It's amazing. So this has been the greatest thing ever with this lens. So if you have a large lens, or if you struggle when you put your camera on the tripod and you lock it and it's still moving, or you just don't want to be locked in one position and you have a hard time moving it around with your tripod, I really highly recommend a gimbal head. It's a game changer like you wouldn't believe. The last thing I want to show you is turning this into a monopod. So you want to unscrew the bottom part here. There's a screw on there. Don't lose this part, but you need to take it off to do the monopod. Then find the leg that says monopod on it. I think it's this one. Yes, up here. It says detaching monopod, and it tells you to release it. You're going to turn it this way, and it comes off. Okay, you're going to release this part. You're going to screw this onto the bottom. Now you have a monopod. And let me go back here and show you just how tall this monopod can be. We still have all 3 leg segments here. So obviously, I would never need a monopod this tall, but that's wonderful. I mean, okay, maybe if I'm somewhere where in front of me there's like a drop off where it gets lower and I put it down there, maybe that could happen. Very unlikely, but maybe. This is more, this has 2 leg segments out. I think this is probably more my height. Actually, there's still this too. So wait a minute. So you can't, okay, there, you can see how tall this is. I would never need this. So you have this adjusting segment here, as well as all 3 leg segments. I would never need this much height, but like I said, it's always nice to have more than you're going to actually need than to have less than you actually need. So I'm going to bring this one down and I take in 1 leg segment. And I think this is probably the height that I would use the most. And then if I did need a little bit more, I could easily bring this to exactly where I need it using this part. So at its shortest, it's down here. And me standing up, it's like at my waist for a reference point. But it's really nice feature to get this also with your tripod. So I hope this was helpful. Those are my 2 tripods and monopod that comes out of there and all the ways that I use them. So what tripod are you using, or what tripod are you considering buying? I would love to know. Please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day and God bless you.